Alrighty, good morning everyone. It is Monday, June 7th, 2021, and we're looking at the S&P 500 futures market here. Just a few things real quick before we start the pre-market analysis. Had a beautiful bearish indication here right at the CP, right off of the previous daily high here at 42.32. Great opportunity to jump in, see if we get a little bit of a deeper pullback here. This might be all we get is this shallow pullback to 42.30, but just want to point out right at the prediction point, right at the previous daily high, we had about 3 or 4 time frames giving bearish indications here, including the 10-minute, the 3-minute, the 1-minute, and the 5/12 tick chart here. One other thing I did want to point out was, again, to emphasize the strength of the levels that we identify in the room here. We had 30.50, 22 quarter, 1975, 42.16, and 42.14 quarter. These are all levels that we've been watching for a number of maybe weeks now. And you can see in the overnight how well we found resistance at 30.50, pulled back and bounced directly off 22 quarter, came down and bounced directly off 1975, bounced and came down and bounced almost directly off 14 quarter. And then as we came back up here, found pretty good support at 19, pulled back right to 22 quarter, and now we're pushing higher here. So just wanted to point out how well these levels have been working. Seems like clockwork every day. Let's jump to our ultra high time frames here. We do have the weekly and the daily officially closed, but let's take a look here at our quarterly chart. And right now, assuming we don't break 42.38, everything still looks pretty strong here. Now, there could be arguments made from all the way back here off these previous highs we made back in 2018 that we do have divergence from there. But what I'd like to see is some indication in this area of a local divergence, not having to extrapolate all the way back to 2018 here. It's definitely something that someone could argue, but I would say right now, still no indications here of exhaustion. When we go to the monthly, pretty much the same exact situation. Nothing to be said. Again, that really steep sloping trend line that we've been watching since the sell-off of COVID from 2020. We still have not broken that. I believe we have to get down to about 41.30 here in order to break that. So we have about 100 points below us. And we would still, if we hold that level, would still be holding this pretty extreme trend line here. Now on our weekly, we did close here for this bar here that closed on Friday, June 4th. We don't have any clear indications. Let me just check the highs here. Yeah, still don't really have any clear indication of exhaustion just yet. Now, if we break above 42.38 quarter, we might start to get some indications here, but overall, everything looks pretty strong. And ideally, if we do break up above 38 quarter here, for the all-time high, we would like to see the RVI trend up a little bit higher here, at least to break above this 70, about 77 here. But again, still no indications of exhaustion. Everything looks pretty strong on all 3 ultra-high time frames. We jump down to our daily. Remember on the morning of June 4th, we said that we had that bullish indication off the candle that closed on June 3rd. And you can see from the close of that candle, we had a really good push on Friday. And now this morning, it looks like they're really trying to go ahead and push and break above that all-time high at 38 quarter. If they do that, we might actually start to see some bearishness here on the daily. But if the RVI does push up and break above around 65 here, we won't have to even worry about that. So right now, things do look fairly strong here, but we do have to break up. And let's see here, breaking above 32 is going to show some signs of exhaustion on the daily. But again, like I said, we have all day for this to develop, and it could very well push up a little bit higher here. So everything looks pretty strong so far. When we get to our 4-hour, there's a pretty obvious bullish divergence here off the overnight low. So from 42.14, we got a very clear bullish divergence, and you can see we've had a pretty strong push from 14 all the way up to test the high from Friday. So things are looking pretty strong here. Again, of course, you do have this bearish indication on the other end, right? Because we're basically flat in price, but the RVI has come down. So we're just going to have to watch this as it develops. We do have another almost hour before this candle closes, and so the picture could change. But we do want to keep in mind that similarly on the daily, we have kind of the daily and the 4-hour showing the potential that we could have some exhaustion, but we need to give it time for this to play out. And then again, remember on the weekly, we don't necessarily have that indication. So let's go down to our 4-hour here. Same situation. So all of our high time frames are agreeing as far as the potential of a little bit of exhaustion up here. You can see that we did get the pullback so far, and right now from that bearish indication, you can see on our short time frames here from 32 we're all the way down to 29 now. I actually took it short up here and just took it off at a point just to scalp it really quick. So definitely could have been really nice if I just let it run here. We could potentially get a little bit of a deeper pullback. But right now the 60-minute also does have what could be argued is some bullish divergence off that overnight low. So we have essentially a flat RVI here and a push down on price. And so from the 4-hour and the 1-hour perspective, we do have some bullish indications off the overnight low. And then on the daily, we do have that bull indication from the candle that closed on June 3rd. And so we do have some bullish indications with some bearish exhaustion going on at the current high. Let's jump down to the intermediate time frames here. Go to our 30-minute and just take a look at that swing low there in the overnight, and not necessarily a very clear indication from the swing low, but when we pulled back to test that low just after we bounced from there, we did then get the bullish indication. So far most of the time frames are giving us bullish indications off the overnight lows. And then same exact story, where as we push here, we did break 42.32 quarter by maybe a tick. I think we went to 32.50, but we do have the bearish indication up top here. So this morning, what we're going to want to see is a very clear push to break above 32 here and come up and test the all-time high. If they can't do that, or they might even come up and test the all-time high, and then we get a big sell-off from there, because of the bearish indications that we're getting on a lot of time frames. But we'll also have somewhat of a bull bias here, assuming we can hold the overnight low, which happened to be 42.14. So 30-minute again has this bullish indication here, but we are starting to get bearish indications up in this area. So we're going to have to watch and see what the bulls can do this morning with this. If we get somewhat of a pullback, we do have some areas to look for potential bounces. And if that bounce can get strong and come up and break the all-time high, a lot of these bearish indications could end up being negated. But right now, 30-minute has a clear bullish indication with a little bit of bearishness up here. And then on our 10-minute, pretty much have a similar situation here, where just around the overnight low, we did have some bullish indications over here. And then when we pulled back to where we got the indication on the 30-minute, you also got the bullish indication there. So two nice bullish indications over in this area. And then again, this is that fourth time frame that gave us the bearish indication this morning, which is why I took this short. We had 10-minute, 3-minute, 1-minute, and 5/12 tick bearishness off that high there. So now we have almost every time frame giving us some bearish signals up here. We're going to see if the bears have enough strength to follow through with some type of deeper pullback. Remember, what could happen here is we could pull back a little bit, maybe bounce off this area around 42.24 or 22 quarter. get really strong, push right into the all-time high, maybe even make a new all-time high, and then get a little bit more of a protracted sell-off, only because we do have so many bearish indications up here. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. Just to reiterate, our ultra high time frames don't necessarily have clear indications of exhaustion just yet, but when we get to our high time frames, the daily, the 4-hour, and the 60-minute, we do have somewhat of a bearish indication up at the highs right now, but we also do have the bullish indication from the overnight low on those time frames as well. So we have conditions here where ideally for bulls, we're going to hold that low at 14. And then on the bearish end, it looks like we could, if we end up holding below 32.50 here, have a little bit more of a sell-off. And we do, because of the way the signals are set up right now, we could even push a little bit higher and still have the bearish indications hold. So we're going to have to watch as the morning develops here.